Welcome to round 2, Long Beach, California. It's the Kart FedEx Championship Series.
Round, get around, I get around. I'm getting buzzed up and up and down the same old trip. I gotta find a new place where the kids are hip. We always take my car cause it's never been me. Yeah, we never miss, yeah, with the girls we meet. I get around all the town.
For the 28th year, they'll be going round and round the streets of Long Beach as we bring you round 2 of the Kart FedEx Championship Series. Throughout the afternoon and in typical Fox fashion, we're going to give you some fascinating new views, particularly from this visor view camera inside Paul Tracy's helmet. So hang on to your hollyhocks. Hello everyone, I'm Derek Daly and welcome to Southern California, to a place they call the beach. Now every year more than 200,000 people pour in here over a 3-day weekend for the party and to witness the awesome performance of these champ cars. Now in addition to Paul Tracy's visor cam, I'm going to personally take you to places you've never seen before. Now we're only down the road from Hollywood, so it's probably only fitting that actor Paul Newman's team, Newman Haas, should put their driver right in the middle of the big headline mix. With more on that story, let's go down to the second member of our broadcast crew this afternoon, Calvin Fish. Calvin?
You're absolutely right, Double D. Brazil's Cristiano Damada comes to the beach as the hottest driver in the series. He went on a tear at the end of last year, winning the final 2 races and won the season opener down in Mexico. Today, he shoots for his 4th straight victory and attempts to equal the record set by Alex Zanardi in '98 and Alonso Jr. back in 1990. Damada starts today's race from the front row, and Cristiano, the key question is, can you keep the streak alive today?
Well, we certainly have the car to do it, so car has been good every single session. Cold conditions, warm conditions, every kind of condition, so we just have to play the race smart, and I believe we can do it.
He may look like 130-pound flyweight, but he's definitely a heavyweight in this series right now. Someone needs to step in the ring and knock him down. Jimmy V may be the man, Scott Pruitt.
Southern California native Jimmy Vassar was the man at the beach yesterday. In the final minutes of qualifying, took his Shell Lola right to the top of the charts. Unfortunately, this morning, ran into a bit of a problem on track. Jimmy, what happened?
Oh, man, we're just coming out for a warm-up, you know. First lap out is an engine check lap. We're just coming around, and I guess Nakano, you know, he was a little bit slippery out there. He ran straight in the back and ruined a brand new set of tires. We hit the fence, took the wing off. You know, about $30,000 worth of damage, and yeah, it's, you know, it's just unfortunate, but hopefully we got all the bad luck out of our way for today.
Well, best of luck. Long Beach is the show, so this will be exciting. Let's go for more on that with Derek Daly.
Thank you, Scott. The temperature's beginning to rise down here. Also, the heartbeat is, the emotion is, and it causes goosebumps all down through the streets of Long Beach. And the 2 men who will talk us through most of it today is our Professor Bob Varsha and, of course, our wild man, Tommy Kendall. Fellas?
All right, thanks very much, Double D, and let me add how proud we are to bring you the FedEx Championship Series here on Fox. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Champ Cars, you should know that they bring the American tradition of high-horsepower, open-wheeled racing to the world. This year's schedule offers 20 races in 7 countries on 4 continents. None of those races bigger than this one today here in Long Beach. And Tommy, these cars are absolute magic.
The cars themselves are insane. They are land-based, methanol-burning rocket ships, and the shapes are every bit as sexy as some of the 2-legged show dogs strutting up and down pit lane. As a matter of fact, the aerodynamic principles that work on F-16 fighters turned upside down keep these cars pressed into the racetrack. They're powered by V8 engines built by Honda, Ford, and Toyota that are restricted to only 800 horsepower. Speeds on oval superspeedway trim, almost 250 miles an hour.
Of course, on the streets of Long Beach, we get a mere 185 to 190. Let's check it out now with our simple green track map.
The hairpin leading onto the front straightaway is key. That sets up the passes and the quick laps. The rest of the year, 362 days, speeds of 45 miles an hour with mileage of 25 to 30 miles per gallon. Today, speeds almost 200 miles an hour and only 1.6 miles per gallon. Not very practical, but a lot of fun to watch.
Now, what that map doesn't show you is the crowd here on Long Beach. Look at the work that drivers do. An estimated 2,160 shifts in the 90 laps of battle to come. 50,000 here in Long Beach on Friday, 80,000 on Saturday, and perhaps 100,000 expected today. And you've got the best seats in the house. We'll be right back. They say it never rains in Southern California, but it is gray and cloudy today. Still, that does nothing to dim the majesty of the great Queen Mary resting at her moorings across Long Beach Harbor. Engines have fired, cars are on course, and they will get the green flag shortly. Right now, let's take a look at the starting grid for today's Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. On the pole, Southern California-born Jimmy Vasser, breaking a 50-race pole drought. He grabbed P1 and the championship point that goes with it by just 0.03 of a second over the hottest driver in the series right now, Brazilian Cristiano Damada. On row 2, all target Chip Ganassi Racing, Bruno Junqueira of Brazil and Kenny Brack of Sweden. Row 3 contains the highest-ranked rookie in the field, Californian Townsend Bell, starting alongside Brazilian Tony Kanaan. On row 4, Adrian Fernandez of Mexico and Paul Tracy, a two-time winner here on the streets of Long Beach. On row 5, Christian Fittipaldi, who lost his best lap in final qualifying for bringing out a red flag. He starts alongside Michel Jourdain Jr. On row 6, Alex Tagliani of Canada, alongside Japanese driver Toru Takagi, who makes his home just down the coast in Newport Beach, California. On row 7 will be Spaniard Oriol Servia and Japanese driver Shinji Nakano. On row 8, Michael Andretti, a former winner here in Long Beach. He's had an awful weekend in practice and qualifying, topped by a crash in the closing moments of Saturday's final qualifying. He starts next to Scotsman Dario Franchitti, whose weekend, frankly, hasn't gone much better. On row 9, Mario Dominguez, the only other rookie in the field, and Italian Mad Max Pappas. And on the 10th and final row, New Zealander Scott Dixon, last year's FedEx Championship Rookie of the Year. He will start alongside Canadian Patrick Carpentier. Now, even in these difficult conditions, we do have the helicopter up so we can bring you our onboard cameras, and we're pretty proud of what we're able to offer you. This is the driver view camera inside the helmet of Paul Tracy, and of course, no sooner do I say we're going to have that camera for you than we don't. But we'll keep trying, and it is absolutely spectacular. We have other onboard cameras in unique places. Once we get the technology straightened out and Mother Nature permitting, we will bring them to you. As they continue to warm their Bridgestone tires and engines, let's take a look at our race analysis. Tommy?
Race distance is 90 laps. Unless we get into a time situation, it could switch to 2 hours and 8 minutes. But the key thing is pit stops. They must go at least 29 laps on their fuel run before pit stops. And at every pit stop, they must change tires. That means mandatory pit stops. That's different from last year. What it does, it allows the guys to run fuel capacity and makes the different fuel strategies critical.
Now, if you play it straight, that means you'll pit on laps 29, 58, and 87. 90-lap race, that means you've got 3 laps to play with. 35 gallons of methanol, averaging just 1.65 miles per gallon. As Tommy mentioned earlier, these cars will absolutely fly, but not in the pit lane, where the speed limit is 50 miles an hour. Quickly to the pit lane, and Derek Daly.
Bob, I'm a great believer that emotional support can raise an athlete's game, and I truly believe Jimmy Vasser can just sense and feel the Southern California support he has here because he's the hometown boy. And I don't think it puts pressure on him because Jimmy, over the years, has been a great team player and a great withstander of pressure. But I do believe the emotional support will help Vasser this afternoon. Calvin?
The first pit stop window, Derek, opens up at lap 3, and we expect Dixon and Franchitti to possibly make that move, having had poor qualifying performances yesterday. That means they can make the rest of the race on 2 more starts. But the key is here at Long Beach, a very long pit lane and a very short lap, meaning these guys need to get in, get out, and not go a lap down. Let's go down to Scott Pruitt.
Long Beach is the big show for kart. I got my start here in 1988. But this was it for me. If you could win this race, it could set your season. Jimmy winning this race in 96 is looking for the same thing right now. Guys?
We got a problem on track. This is the number 32 car of Patrick Carpentier, who's had a miserable weekend. His car let him down. Well, frankly, he crashed in final round qualifying, chose to stand on his time, gridded dead last in the field, and it appears his race is over before it begins. Ooh. Snapped around.
Just when he thought his weekend couldn't get any worse, cold tires, it takes 3 or 4 laps of hard running to get temperature, and caught him out.
That is a shame. Let's take a look at the weather conditions as we get set to race. Down to 19 cars now. It is cool and cloudy. Temperature just 60 degrees. Relatively high humidity. Virtually no wind to speak of. The flags moving at the top of the grandstands, but only just. The forecast is for continued clouds. Hope they rise enough for us to get our onboard technology working for you. Well, we'll take what we can get. Tommy, you've lived here in Southern California. Frankly, you are the unofficial social director of Santa Monica, California, I understand, but you know better than anybody just how energizing this massive crowd in Long Beach could be for these drivers.
Well, this is our Super Bowl. It's an Academy Awards type atmosphere, and the drivers respond to that. You play in front of an empty house, and performers are performers, and they really sense that energy. So the crowd being as into it as it is, it's almost like they come to a party and a world-class motor car race breaks out.
Turning through turn 9, on board with Paul Tracy. A long left-hand sweeper coming up, and then one of the signature corners here at Long Beach. A hairpin turn, 180 degrees onto Shoreline Drive. Cars go through single file. We'll expect 3 or 4 rows to be side by side before starter Jim Swintal will wave the green flag. Coming up on the cams now, the green waves were underway in Long Beach, and Vassar immediately goes into defensive mode. D'Amato around the outside and takes the position.
Look at Paul Tracy up from 6th all the way to 4th. One of his signature moves. Cold tires is often one of the best times to make some move. Unfortunately, the risk of a mistake is that much higher.
Around the fountain turn outside the beautiful Aquarium of the Pacific that's become a part of this legendary street circuit. There is Tracy.
One of the few guys that consistently can make green flag passes. A lot of guys rely on their pit crews to leapfrog and by him. Paul doesn't do that. He came from 17th to win here years ago, and he's trying to capitalize all the way up from 8th to 4th on the first start.
D'Amato with about a 4-car length lead right now over Vassar. Kenny Brack in the target car just behind Jimmy. And then Tracy.
See a yellow flag out.
Local yellow for the 32 car, I believe. Oh, they got Patrick Carpentier bump started, so we assume will get back into the race. Down Shoreline Drive they come. Vassar draws away slightly from Brack, who comes under fire from the aggressive Tracy. The start for Tony Kanaan is running 5th. Look at the pass for the lead in turn 1. Kanaan goes inside. Brackman thinks better of it. Tracy coming up the outside, while D'Amato gets around Jimmy Vassar, who gave up the corner.
Tony Kanaan was trying to come down the inside. Kenny Brack gave him a good squeeze to the inside, and Tracy went up the outside unimpeded, was able to brake normally and sweep around the outside of Tony Kanaan.
Kanaan driving for legendary engineer Mo Nunn, who worked for many years for Chip Ganassi at Target Ganassi Racing, working with drivers Jimmy Vassar, Alex Zanardi, and Juan Pablo Montoya, now in Formula 1. In fact, Mo Nunn was here many years ago when this was a Formula 1 race, and his driver was our own Derek Daly. You can tell where the braking area is, where all the rubber is on the racetrack.
And we touched on the 29 laps between fuel stops. What that means is some of the guys in the back of the pack, everybody is going to try to find a clear spot of track to race on. So I would expect some guys in the back to actually stop as soon as lap 4. And so they'll come in, they'll change tires, which they have to do, all 4 tires to qualify as one of the mandatory stops, get back out and try to put together a series of demon laps so that at the end, when everything shakes out, if they can get in a clear spot and run quicker, they will leapfrog past a number of the competitors.
So they'll be off sequence, but they'll still make it in 3 stops.
Scott Dixon, the car that started 19th in the field, was the quickest in morning warm-up, so he knows he has the car to do it, so his team is trying to get him off by himself. Now, everybody at the back of the pack, if they have the same idea, they'll still be in a traffic jam separated from the main pack by all the guys who made their stops. So watch for guys to duck in here. Pit lane is right after the hairpin.
Good Good look at Christian Fittipaldi in the Eli Lilly car for Newman Haas Racing. Cristiano D'Amata's teammate. We have cars in the pit lane. Dario Franchitti and Scott Dixon rolling the dice on pit strategy.
Scott Dixon is in. This will be a routine stop. Just a little bit of fuel going in, just a splash. They started with pretty much full tanks. Problem with the left rear tire. They're switching to another one. They couldn't get the nut off, so there's a problem there. This is a big delay. Let's get down to Scott Prue and Franchitti.
Dario Franchitti came in. Now you have to realize when these guys make a stop, they have to take 4 tires. A little bit of fuel, 4 tires, and they're on their way.
Long pit lane here on the streets of Long Beach. They have to make sure they get out as quickly as possible without breaking the 50-mile-an-hour pit lane speed limit. There's Cristiano D'Amata, the race leader, turning on to Shoreline Drive.
Speaking of clear track, D'Amata has clear track in front of him. He is the one with the most strategy options available to him. So he can play the pace cars a little bit with less risk than the guys who came in now. If a pace car happens between now and when D'Amata comes in, and he's able to get in and out before the field bunches up, he will actually have an advantage because he's running at race speed right now, whereas the guys who just stopped are on cold tires and will have a series of slow laps before they're up to speed.
The gap was 2.5 seconds. D'Amata to that man in the shell car, Jimmy Vasser. Patrick Carpentier is pitting. We'll take a quick break and return live to Long Beach here on Fox. Welcome back live to the streets of Long Beach, California, and the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, round 2 of the FedEx Championship Series for 2002. I'm Bob Varsha, along with Tommy Kendall, Derek Daly, Calvin Fish, and Scott Pruitt. Scott Dixon, who made a pit stop, is now directly ahead of our race leader, Cristiano D'Amata.
I spoke too soon, and a new rule was passed since Monterrey, Mexico. At the end of the race, D'Amata got held, actually Dario Franchitti got held up by Toru Takagi, who was a lapped car. There's a new rule in place. If you're in danger of going a lap down and the stewards deem it necessary, they will give you the blue flag for 3 laps. If you don't yield to the leader, they will pull you out of the race.
3 cars chose to pit early. Dario Franchitti, Scott Dixon, and Alex Tagliani. My mistake. I said it was Patrick Carpentier, his teammate. In fact, it was Tagliani. Those 3 drivers now shown 17th, 18th, and 19th on the racetrack. Good look there at Kenny Brack from Sweden, the former Indy Racing League champion, now driving for Target Chip Ganassi Racing. They'll be at Indianapolis next week to start their preparations for the month of May. Has a lot to prove. Knocked out of the season opener in Monterrey, Mexico in the first lap. Tracy Canan and Bruno Junqueira, the other Target Chip Ganassi Racing driver.
Junqueira's closed up quite a bit of different distance to Canan and Tracy in front of him. All on the same fuel strategy. They're all carrying the same amount of fuel. The car's weighing about the same. So the number 1 passing spot is you can get a good shot off the hairpin, draft down into the braking zone, and outbrake the guys into turn 1. This straightaway is relatively long, top speed of about 160, but really, really difficult. It's bumpy and slippery on the inside, and the braking zone is not that long. Hard to get alongside an equal car there.
Off the Seaside Way into what is a parking lot most of the year. Then bursting out onto Shoreline Drive, about 28 miles an hour in this hairpin turn, and then up through the 7-speed sequential gearbox. Just grab the gear lever, jerk it straight back, and that puts you up a gear. You never take your foot off the accelerator, reaching about 185, 190 just before braking right here for turn 1. Good there at Tony Kanaan. Last year, a teammate to one of the most popular drivers in Kart FedEx Championship Series history, Alex Zanardi, who suffered a terrifying accident that ended his career last year in the race in Germany. Derek Daly picks up that story.
If anybody likes to get Sports Illustrated, or even if you don't like to, please go get it this week, or this edition, because inside they have a story which they label After the Miracle. And if you can see here, it is Alex Zanardi, complete with his 2 new prosthetic legs. And this story is unbelievable because it charts the accident, the savage crash that Alex had from the moment he drove down the pit lane trying to win that event. But Alex Zanardi, this is an emotional story. It almost brought me to tears as I read it. and I urge anybody that has supported Alex to go read it. Now, Alex had intended to come here to Long Beach to be part of the festivities here, but at the end of the day, he said it's just too early. And you know, Alex, we understand.
But Alex has been named Grand Marshal at the event in Germany this year. He says he'll be there to wave the flag, and we'll be there to see him again and shake his hand. Great, great guy. Great loss to the sport. But I wouldn't be surprised if he is back. His car owner at the time of his accident, Mo Nunn, knows another driver who has come back from losing the use of his legs. Clay Regazzoni, the great Formula One star who suffered his accident right here in Long Beach. There is Cristiano D'Amata, your leader in the Chevron car for Newman Haas Racing. We'll take another break and return. His crew looking at the computer monitors. Christian handling the driving. We'll be right back. Now it's time for the first of our Toyota Spotlights, featuring stock cars of another sort. Great tradition here in Long Beach, the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race. And before the race began, some of the celebrities and pro racing drivers on hand visited Miller Children's Hospital here in Southern California to try to spread a little cheer and gain some of their own.
This event has raised over $2 million for the Children's Hospital, the LA and Orange County over the years, and it's a big, big success. Christopher Titus there from the Fox show Titus. The on-track action was another story.
Well, speaking of which, let's take you to the highlights of the Pro Celebrity Race. The television and movie stars took off first, then in the red cars, the pros. And I can tell you, it was action-packed. When all was said and done, Olympic swimming champion Dara Torres won the celebrity division. And while our Tommy Kendall competed in the pro division, he did not win, which led to this spectacle. You explain it, TK.
Well, the battle of the sexes was raging, so I decided to kick it up a notch, and I said, loser has to go through the kart paddock on a leash. And so there I was, living up to my word. Danica Patrick beat me to the finish line, and I don't feel too badly. I know I'm going to take some heat from you guys, and deservedly so, but all you married guys, you have leashes anyways. They're just invisible. Is that not correct?
You're asking the wrong man. But I know she did finish between two women, and it's always been a dream of yours, so there it is. Keep your eye out for Danica Patrick, just 20 years of age. Definitely a rising open-wheel racing star. Let's get down to Calvin Fish.
Well, we see some consternation on the faces of the Newman Haas team. D'Amata is being held up, they believe, by Scott Dixon. Now, he was fastest in the warm-up this morning and almost went a lap down with that problem with the left rear, but Cristiano has been on the radio. He's very angry, he's very emotional, coming from Brazil, of course, a South American, and he's upset about this. But Dixon is still running mid-nines. He's one of a handful of drivers in the nines, so he's running fast, but Cristiano wants a clear lap. Let's get down to Scott Prue as word on the Team Green situation.
I'm here with Barry Green. Barry, one of your cars has stopped for a bit. Tell us a little bit about your strategies.
Well, Scott, Paul, brilliant start, you know, 8th to 4th. He's running great. In fact, he's not doing much talking at all. John Anders is doing all the talking. Dario, we took him out of sequence because he started down the back. So, you know, we got it covered either way. But right now, Paul seems very comfortable driving some great laps.
The cars themselves, we're happy with the setup right now?
He's really happy with the car. You know, he's got the fuel turned down. We've told him to turn it up. He doesn't need to save fuel, but he's quite happy with it. So we're just letting him run.
Best of luck.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, guys. If you're unfamiliar with the Champ cars, you should know that the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach in past years turned into a fuel economy run. Everybody just kind of milling around trying to stay near the front until after their last stop, when they hope to have enough fuel left in the race to race hard. But all that changed with the new Kart FedEx Championship Series rules this year, giving every driver more than enough fuel to go flat out all the way.
The emphasis now, again, is on finding a clear spot on the track to run, and D'Amata is complaining about Scott Dixon, but the gap is not such that it looks like he's probably slowing him down much, and so the stewards are going to have to really pay close attention to see D'Amata's waving his arms, complaining and screaming. It's a little bit like basketball, guys trying to draw the charge. Now that the rule is there, that if a guy's holding you up for too long and ignores the blue flags, he'll be called in, but Scott Dixon right now, I believe, has run the fastest lap of the race, so until it's obvious that he's holding D'Amata up, that counter on laps will not start.
Last lap for Scott Dixon, a 69.831. The last lap for Cristiano D'Amata, 69.781. First time Cristiano D'Amata has led here in Long Beach. It's a look at the Gigante car from Team Rahal. Young Mexican Michel Jourdain Jr. Action continues on the track. We'll take a break and return with more live from the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Stay with us here on Fox. Welcome back. We are under yellow at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach, and that is why a very dejected Tony Kanaan, elbows on the trackside wall, his car parked beyond it. Something broke in the car, we heard him say over the radio to his crew. Down to the pits.
Cristiano D'Amata is in, taking advantage of this caution period. I spoke to Peter Gibbs. They expected a yellow. Routine stop, no adjustment. Very close on the way out. I believe it was Junqueira.
Yes, that is Bruno Junqueira in the red and white Target Chip Ganassi racing car, just going into his pit as D'Amata comes out.
Both of the Chip Ganassi cars are in. Standard stops, no changes, 4 tires, fuel. Everything looks good. Bruno's away.
Look at the action down the pit lane. Remember, they could have gone to lap 29, but here on lap 16, or make that 18, he chose to come in.
I want to see how that little battle resolved itself. It had a low-speed race down pit lane. Unlike Winston Cup, these cars have actual electronic speed limiters in their cars, so they just push a button on the steering wheel to keep them below that mandated 50-mile-an-hour pit lane speed limit.
Waiting for the timing and scoring monitor to reset itself once the cars come back on track. We would expect all of them to have a full load of fuel now and a fresh set of Bridgestones, although they might opt to shortstop and just fill the tank for as long as it took to change the rubber.
That's exactly what most of the teams are doing. As soon as the tires are done, which is usually about 7 seconds, they're pulling the fuel hose. They flow about 3 gallons per second, so you get 24 gallons per stop. And starting with a full tank, you can make it all the way, assuming you have enough fuel to make it those 29 laps.
Also entering into the equation the fact that the tanks, the pit side tanks, are still full of fuel, so that fuel flow is going to be as fast as it's going to be all day. They're all gravity fed. You notice those horizontal orange traffic cones. Those are out there to indicate to the drivers where the gaps in the fence are and the safety trucks are parked, in case you need to get off the track with a mechanical.
Scott Dixon's gamble on ignoring those blue flags. They gave him blue flags 3 or 4 laps in a row, but when the caution came out, he was still in front of Cristiano D'Amata. He was able to come all the way around to the tail end of the lap, so it was worth the gamble. And he's now back in the hunt. He's on the same strategy, has made the same number of fuel stops as everybody else, and now he's caught up with the back of the pack.
Currently shown in the number 16 spot. Somewhere, Derek Daly, I suspect, has found a great vantage point. Derek, where are you?
Well, Bob, I'm in a very special suite. This is the Long Beach Grand Prix Founder Suite. You're looking at Rusty Smith. Of course, he's our short track Olympic speed skater, won a bronze medal. Also said, gentlemen, start your engines today. But this suite is packed with people who, in 1975, when Chris Pooh got a harebrained idea to raise some money to create a downtown race in Long Beach, he went to try and get some people to put in $5 grand to buy 200 shares. Now, the people who did it, those 200 shares worth $5 grand became worth $75,000 when the company went public in 1996. Then it got bought by Dover Downs, and that $5 grand became worth $142,000. Some of the early shareholders, Dan Gurney was one of them, John Krosnoff was one, Jeff's dad, and Tom Herta was one, Brian Herta's dad. How do they know all those years ago that their sons would become IndyCar drivers? And of course, what a great local community effort, and what a payback if they get to sit in luxury at every single race.
Why didn't any of us buy in when he had a chance? Put that up there with Nike and Microsoft, didn't he? Gee, I wish I'd done that. We want to go to race control and speak with Gary Barnard, Senior Manager of Competition for the Kart FedEx Championship Series. Gary, 2 questions. Number 1, we saw lots of blue flags for Scott Dixon. First, what's his situation?
Scott was not holding up the leader as we saw it. Therefore, we hadn't started the count. We started his 3-lap count just before we had the yellows. So at this point, he's okay.
Now, we also understand Patrick Carpentier will be black flagged for passing the safety car. What's that all about?
Well, he was the first car that came by the pit exit line after we went full course, and that means that he needed to be behind the pace car. He chose not to participate with us. There will be a penalty shortly.
All right, thank you very much, Gary Barnard, Senior Competition Manager for CART. You've got an all-access pass here on the streets of Long Beach. We are back under yellow. D'Amata, Vassar, Brack, Tracy, Junqueira, Fernandez, Fittipaldi, Jourdain, Tagliani, and Townsend Bell, your top 10.
Little shot there of Jourdain getting a run on Christian Fittipaldi. Christian moved over to the inside to give him a little bit of a block. That's another thing they're starting to crack down on this series is blocking. Scott Pruitt down in the pits.
I'm down here with Bruce Ashmore, Patrick Carpentier's crew chief. What's happening? He's having a lot of problems with the car.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a gearbox problem. It caused him to spin on the start of the race, and now he's struggling with it. He's second to third. He's not shifting properly, so he's just wrestling through. So it's going to be a bit of a hard race for him.
That's going to make for a long day here at Long Beach. Best of luck, guys.
Down Seaside Way, under the walkover bridges, into the exhibition center here in Long Beach, where the Ice Dogs hockey team plays. Sharp right-hander at turn 9, short burst, and then an increasing radius left-hander to this point. The hairpin. D'Amata is just on fire.
And he's been the man with the speed starting last year, all the preseason testing. He was not on pole down in Mexico, but the crew did a brilliant job strategy-wise. Got him by himself, and his middle stint in Monterey was absolutely blinding. Fast lap after fast lap, and when everyone was down there stopped, he had a comfortable 8-second cushion.
We have a pit update. Bruno Junqueira, during his stop in the Ganassi pits, ran over an air hose. He'll be penalized for that. Ask you, Tommy, we tease Cristiano D'Amata a lot about the fact that he's winning races left, right, and center, but he has yet to pick up a pole position. Are you surprised? Whoop, problem. Well, Carpentier's race is over. He knew it was just a matter of time.
That's almost like euthanasia. When you're having a horrible race like that, you're almost glad when it's over. Running around for 20th spot. You have an obligation to the team and to the sponsors, but you're almost kind of praying it's going to blow up at that point.
You notice that high collar, the Hans head and neck restraint device. Here's a replay. Just straight on at turn 1. I think at this point he thought, the heck with it.
Well, that's the shortest walk back to the pits, too, so that might have factored in.
Whoop, Bruno Junqueira, same place on the racetrack, I believe. No, that's not turn 1, is it? No.
That might be in turn 5.
5, right.
Nope, 8. This is heading onto the back straightaway. And that's a downhill braking zone, very, very bumpy. So with the escape roads, what a lot of the guys do at the very last second, if you are coming in a little bit hot and you turn in and you're wrong, you're going to hit the fence. So often at the last second, people will straighten it up, go down the escape road. You lose a bit of time, but you're not out of the race.
And he still has that penalty to look forward to. See the shadows growing darker under the race cars. It means the sun is trying to break through. That's not a forecast by any stretch. It's Michel Jourdain Jr., second-generation racer. Back post, his father, Michel Sr., and his uncle, Bernard, raced. Bernard in the CART FedEx Championship Series. There's Bruno Junqueira in the box, just exiting after his stop-and-go penalty. Scott Pruitt is there with his car owner.
I'm down here with Chip Ganassi. What's going on?
Well, Bruno came in the pits, and looks like the 5 car threw their hose out in front of him, and the drive wheels ran over it, so we got a penalty.
That's a tough break. What happened there right at the end? Did you hear?
When we were talking to him, he slid off the track and went down one of the runoff areas.
No harm, no foul, on his way.
Nothing.
Guys?
The 5 car would be Tora the Tiger Takagi. Working lap number 24 now of 90. Now once the teams all pit, then the lap counter goes back to 0. Paul Newman and his fellow car owner Carl Haas looking very calm about things with their man in the lead. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to the streets of Long Beach and the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach on the CART FedEx Championship Trail. I'm Bob Varsha with Tommy Kendall, Derek Daly, Scott Pruitt, and Calvin Fish. Glad to have you with us for the biggest day on the FedEx Championship calendar, Grand Prix of Long Beach. There's your leader, Cristiano D'Amata. Jimmy Vassar in second, fully 3 seconds behind. Moments ago, Bruno Junqueira served his penalty. He is currently in 18th spot. The order is D'Amata, Vassar, Breck, Tracy, Fernandez, Fittipaldi, Jourdain, Tagliani, Bell, and Takagi.
D'Amata is just checking out a full 4/10 quicker that last lap. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but over time, when a second on a pit stop can gain you a couple track positions, he's just putting his head down, and he's showing that he is the new guy with the pure speed. The new fuel rules were meant to put the races back in the hands of the fastest cars. They got away from that for a while, and Cristiano D'Amata, all 125 pounds of 5'4", is a giant behind the wheel of the Newman Haas car.
Just had a great look at Shoreline Drive with the harbor and the Queen Mary in the background. One of the most famous vistas in motorsports. Like Monte Carlo, the front stretch at Monza. There's Vassar. He too was knocked out of the season opener in a tangle on the first lap. Now driving for former three-time kart champion Bobby Rahal. His team owned by Bobby Rahal with contributions from TV talk show host David Letterman. I'm not sure I've seen around here this weekend. I hope you're looking in. There is Paul Newman, who along with Carl Haas has owned their team for many, many years now.
It's 84, I believe.
62 victories as a team. They lead among kart teams. And Paul Newman is a very fine racer in his own right. Just 2 weeks ago, he won a race.
He won a GT1 race down in Atlanta, and Paul and I drove in the 24 Hours of Daytona in 1995, won that at age 70. He asked me if I wanted to drive 5 years later. I said I hope to be retired. And he made good on his word, and he still raced at age 77, one of the most competitive individuals I've ever been around in my entire life.
Paul Newman now a very young 77 years of age, still showing the kids how to do it. And a GT1 race car is the equivalent of a Trans Am machine. Big iron, heavy horsepower. Those cars are quick. Jimmy Vassar going through your screen in the yellow and white shell car. Comes Kenny Breck, Paul Tracy, Adrian Fernandez. We talked about him much in the Tecate car. There's Dario Franchitti. Normally very, very good on the street courses. A winner places like Toronto. We'll go to Vancouver this year for another temporary circuit. Denver, Colorado. Houston, Texas. Flying Scott Franchitti has had a very, very tough weekend, but currently shown in 12th. Getting word from the corners that he went off at turn 1, went straight on. Now you can weave through the tire barriers there and re-enter at turn 5, but you cannot gain competitive advantage. You must wait, in other words, until the guy you were following goes through. Then you can get back onto the racetrack without a penalty. And that apparently is what Dario did. Running behind Spaniard Oriol Servia. Last year, Dario married his sweetheart, actress Ashley Judd. There is Michael Andretti, previously a winner on this racetrack. As I mentioned, he's had a tough weekend too, currently running 13th. Let's get down to Scott Pruitt.
Patrick, weekend started out bad, just continually got worse when the race started. What happened? Any idea?
Yeah, on the warm-up lap, I was warming up the tires, and the traction control system came off, and then the engine just revved really high, and it went, and then it spun the car. We don't know why yet. They're going to look into it, but that caused me to spin, and then after that, the gearbox started to go, and I lost second and third gear, and I had to stop.
Well, better luck in Motegi.
Traction control legal in Champ cars this year. If you're unfamiliar with the technology, it uses an electronics package to sense and control wheel spin at the rear drive wheels by cutting the ignition in these powerful V8 engines.
There's a dial on the steering wheel where the drivers can either turn it on or off, but also control the amount of slip. So if the computer senses that the rear wheels are spinning maybe 6-7% faster, it starts cutting horsepower by either pulling fuel or spark out of the engine. And some of the drivers, like Cristiano, probably has his switched off. He told me he didn't use it all in Mexico on Friday, and when he had a comfortable lead, he turned it off. It helps to improve the traction, but it's a little bit of an unknown as far as reliability goes. So I think the guys thought it was going to be one of these things. It was just a magical fix that just made their cars not slide. But the truth of the matter is, it's still down to how well you get the chassis set up. It can't create traction. It just optimizes what is there.
Look at rookie Mario Dominguez in the Herdez car, team founded by the late Tony Bettenhausen. Great names in champ car racing. This man, Cristiano Damata, all, I don't know, 5'4", 125 pounds or so of him. He's leading the way, now fully 4.1 seconds clear of Jimmy Vasser. So look at bullseye. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to the streets of Long Beach. We are under a full course caution, and this is why. Scott Dixon's car lost its engine, and as you can see, frantic action in the pit lane. And moments ago, Cristiano Damata, the race leader, collided. Calvin Fish is there as we watch the replay.
Well, Cristiano came in, and as he went to peel out, I believe it was Adrian Fernandez looked for his pit box and completely pinched Cristiano there. So the crews are really trying to get their guys out. They kind of wait for a stream of cars to come in here, but this is cost the leader potential win here today. The team has got to wheel the car back to the Newman Haas pit stop. They're going to try and get him fired back up and get him back on course. He's on his way.
We saw a couple of crewmen bowled over. They may have been crewmen for Shinji Nakano's team. I'm not sure. Everyone appears to be up and all right, but that was a very scary moment.
I believe the one guy who got knocked down got right back up and did the pit stop when Nakano came in. So, I mean, that could have been an absolute tragedy.
Oh, man.
A few years ago, when there was no speed limit in the pit lane, there was an incident between Michael Andretti and Emerson Fittipaldi, and Michael was launched airborne. So the pits are a very, very dangerous place. And when Cristiano came in, he had about a 20, 30-second lead, so he was finishing his pit stop just as Adrian was coming in. And all they do is tell him, go, go, go. He doesn't look in his mirrors. He just hammers it and looks for the speed limit button. And there was just that crisscross where they were trying to merge, just like when you get on and off the freeway. And really, really lucky.
Here you see Damata being gestured out. Everything looks good, but then Fernandez has to get to his pit. See a crewman bowled over. One of those wheel and tire combinations just rocketed, center punched into the pit wall. That was a near disaster, but we recall the season opener in Monterrey, Mexico. Damata jumped from disaster to disaster, including contact with, I believe it was Nakano on the racetrack.
Yes, it was. So the thing now, Cristiano has the quickest car. This is a big setback for him, but with the speed he's running, if they can figure out if he, again, get by himself, unfortunately, there isn't any flexibility in his strategy now. They pitted on lap 32, which is exactly 2 full 29-lap runs to the 90-lap distance. So unfortunately, they don't have any flexibility. He's going to have to do it by passing people on the track.
Michael Andretti right there shown as the race leader behind the safety car. Saw that lap time, 70 seconds and change. Keep in mind, this is a temporary circuit, so the rubber builds up on the road as the race goes on, and the cars tend to get faster. So I wouldn't be surprised in a straight shootout at the end of this race to see guys lapping at close to qualifying times.
And the cloud cover is helping that relative to yesterday. It's probably 20 degrees cooler at the track. So Calvin, I'm wondering if you can get down to Newman Haas's pit and find out if Cristiano's car is still 100%. He's at the back of the pack, but if his car's healthy, he's still a guy to watch.
That's right, TK. I'm down here now. I just spoke to Peter Gibbons. I said, is the car okay? He said, yes, it is, but they are so frustrated down here. Remember on his first stop, TK, he almost clipped John Kira trying to get out of the box here. This is historically a very tight pit lane down here, and they try to get him out because everyone's screaming in here, and they can't afford to wait for like 5-6 cars. So track position was critical. They took a bit of a gamble there, and Fernandez looked for his pit box, but we have a strong car. Damata's been the man, but he now has a lot of ground to make up. He's currently down in 16th spot, got a lot of cars to overtake on a very tight racetrack.
Blown engine for Dixon, so they bring out the tarp to minimize the amount of fluid on the racetrack and speed the cleanup. So the Simple Green safety team doing their job. We'll take another quick break while we're under caution. Michael Andretti and Mad Max Pappas did not stop. They are currently shown first and second. We'll be back live to Long Beach. As the cleanup continues following that blown engine for Scott Dixon. That's our second yellow of the day. Let's get to Derek Daly. Beg your pardon. Let's go to Scott Pruitt first.
Two things. One, we're just talking to the guys on the Target Ganassi team. For Kenny Brack's car, they lowered the tire pressure. He's complaining not having enough grip. They lowered it about a pound all the way around. As far as Michael, just talking to those guys, he's complaining the car is very loose right now. What the crew said is, you know what, I think the track's going to come back to us. We're not going to make any more changes. Just 4 tires and fuel the next time in. Derek?
Okay, we're here with Tom Anderson. Tom, I believe it was Steve Reagan, the crew chief on the 52 machine that got clipped there in the incident. What happened from your viewpoint here?
Cristiano and Adrian got together there and shoved Cristiano over into the tires that we set out for Nakano. And the tire there got underneath Steve Reagan and knocked him down, but he's fine. He's fine.
He's okay. That's good news. Okay, let's get on to Derek Daly.
I am down at the hairpin, boys, now as we watch the big screen TV here, waiting for these boys to come around. With their all-access pass, please don't ask me to get any closer to the racetrack, because I'm close enough that when they go by, I could change gear. But have a look at this. On the yellows, the drivers who like some cool, fresh air actually open the visors. Michael opened his. Pappas is closed. Jimmy's is open. Brack is open. Tracy is open. He's closed. Fittipaldi's closed. He's Brazilian. He doesn't need the air. Jourdain is closed. He's Mexican. He's used to the hot weather. And those are the boys that were back. And there, of course, is Cristiano D'Amato, absolutely livid with what happened just a couple of laps earlier.
All right, thanks very much, Derek. I take back what I said earlier. Derek has the best seats in the house right now. The signal is 1 to go. We'll take a look at the top 10 as they stand. Michael Andretti and Max Pappas did not pit. They have 2 stops still to come. Jimmy Vasser leads Kenny Breck, Paul Tracy, Christian Fittipaldi, Michel Jourdain Jr. And Cristiano D'Amato is currently shown back in 16th spot after that very scary moment in the pit lane with Adrian Fernandez. Let's go to Scott Pruitt with Scott Dixon.
Scott, things really seem to come together for you this morning. Quickest and morning warm-up, but unfortunately your day came just to an end a little too soon.
Yeah, you know, we had a bit of a mess up in the first pit stop too, and that's sort of what put us back with Cristiano. Then we had to push a lot harder. I think there's some confusion with fuel or something too. We had to lean right back and hold up all those other guys, and then they said I could go full fuel again, and a couple laps later I think the engine expired.
Tough day.
No question about that. Tough season thus far through 2 races for last year's Jim Truman Rookie of the Year. Here's a look at Michael Andretti. First time he's led at Long Beach since 1965, but he won the race way back in 1986. Father Mario won it 3 times as a kart race and once in 1977 when it was a Formula One race, driving for Colin Chapman's Lotus team. His cousin John and brother Jeff also raced. In fact, in 1991, all 4 Andrettis were racing here in Long Beach. To Calvin Fish.
Quick update on Cristiano D'Amato. He was very upset not only about the incident, but the fact that a crew member did get clipped. The Newman Haas team have told him that Steve Reagan is okay, not to worry. Focus on passing cars. There's a lot of this race left, guys.
No question about that. You see the black donut on the Chevron logo on the left side pod of D'Amato's car. He got that from Adrian Fernandez's right front. Up front, Michael Andretti, Max Pappas low on fuel. We got a problem in the hairpin. Someone went around. It's one of the players' cars. Derek Daly.
Alex Tagliani on his turn in got clipped. A quick 180, but now he can't actually turn the thing around. He cannot get it into reverse. Engine is running. He cannot get it into reverse. How frustrating for the second member of the players' team.
He's asking for a push. There's plenty of runoff there.
Sounds like it's stalled, too.
Meanwhile, up front, light on fuel, Michael Andretti and Max Pappas quickly open a gap on Jimmy Vasser in 3rd.
Now, these guys were running a good ways back in the pack, so this is kind of their chance. They have to make 2 more stops, so their only hope is while they're light on fuel is to really streak away, build up enough of a gap that when they make that extra stop, they probably won't be out in front, that's for sure. But if they can get back in, look at Michael.
Lighting up that right front Bridgestone.
You saw the minute he locked the brakes, he turned into the corner to buy himself a little more time. He knew he was in trouble, turned in a little early, was able to get it slowed down and still negotiate that corner. It's a double-edged sword. You want to push really hard on cold tires, but that's also really hard to get the car stopped.
Top speed on Shoreline Drive.
Michael defending the inside. Pappas thinking about the outside, but it's a long way to go around all the way on the outside. Michael actually, after he protected the inside, gave him a little bit of a squeeze back to the right, and that'll draw the attention of the stewards if he does that consistently.
Picking up Cristiano Damata. There he is in the Chevron car, currently shown in 15th, just behind his fellow Brazilian Bruno Junqueira. Last year, Junqueira started stone last in this field in 28, came forward all the way to 9th, so he knows how to pass around Long Beach. Pappas darting left and right. Good to see Mad Max up toward the front again. Calvin Fish is more on him.
Well, it's even more remarkable when you think about that Max is the only driver in this field who's done 0 testing since Mexico. We had a big break between round 1 and 2. Everyone's been hitting the testing trail other than this relatively underfunded Sigma Autosport team. So Max has been pushing hard all weekend. They've had a few gearbox difficulties, but he'd love to take the lead here.
Interesting concept, Sigma Autosports. Only team in the Kart FedEx Championship Series that has its own farm club. They also race in the top step of the Kart Driver Development Series, the Toyota Atlantic Championship, with 2 cars. That's off to car owner Tom Moringa for supporting the younger drivers. Now Vassar and Breck closing up on the leaders.
I think Michael's holding the whole lineup here. Michael got a good run off the hairpin, but by turn 1, Max had dialed it all back and then some. So it's only a matter of time before there's going to be a big queue behind Michael.
Next in line is Christian Fittipaldi. It's Paul Tracy. He's gotten around Michel Jourdain. Last time by the timing and scoring stripe, Tracy was behind Jourdain. Pruitt can tell us more about how Alex Tagliani got turned around down there in the hairpin.
Neil, a bad set of circumstances. What happened? What did he say?
All the tag could tell us was that as they were coming up with the green flag, that he got hit from behind by Townsend Bell. I've listened to what Carter's saying, and it sounds as though Townsend Bell was hit by Serbia, so who then in turn hit us. So I think we had a bit of a traffic jam and a bit of bumping and barging, a bit of a domino effect.
Not a great day for the Players team. Hope he can come back from that.
Thanks. Saw Townsend Bell in trouble, and also Bruno Junqueira. A number of guys really getting in there a little bit too deep. It gets really slick about halfway into that corner. The rear brake lock up. You saw both guys catch the back end. Townsend right as he went out of view, and Bruno as he headed into turn 1.
Here's Damata. Still in 15th. Tagliani now being caught up by the race leader, Andretti. Michael last pitted on lap 18. He's currently working lap 41. Do the math. Have to pit before he runs his 30th lap on this load of fuel. Here's the view from the hairpin. We'll take a break and be right back. Stand by for more from Long Beach on Fox. To an overcast day in Long Beach, California. Bob Barsha and Tommy Kendall with you, along with Derek Daly, Scott Pruitt, and Calvin Fish. Shoreline Drive, the race leader is Michael Andretti, now in his 19th season of Champ Car competition. 14 consecutive seasons with a victory. That is a record. Watching Kenny Breck and Christian Fittipaldi. There's Jimmy Vassar, still in 3rd place behind Michael Andretti and Max Pappas. Max Pappas was driving for Bobby Rahal. Jimmy Vassar moved over to take one of the seats. Kenny Breck was also a Rahal driver. Went to drive for Chip Ganassi, and Michel Jourdain Jr. took that seat. A few moments ago, this was Bobby Rahal talking to Michael Andretti's crew. Excuse me, that's Mad Max's crew. Calvin can tell us more about what they were talking about. Calvin?
Well, Bobby Rahal did a quick sprint down the back of pit lane here, and he went up to Tom Moringa and he said, "Can you help us out?" And Tom was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He said, "Well, you guys are about to pit. Make sure you don't hold us up here. We've got a race to win this afternoon." But they believe Max has got a race to win it too, so they kind of looked at each other, and Bobby went away. I'm not sure he got the answer he was looking for, to be honest with you.
Well, even if that message gets relayed to Max, I'm not sure he'll be in the the charitable mood. He drove for Bobby, and there was nothing said publicly, but I think there was probably some hard feelings on that split last year.
We're at the halfway point of the race. There are your biggest movers. Mad Max Pappas has moved up 16 positions from where he started. Tops among drivers at this point in the race. See the red rain light on the cars of both Pappas and Vassar. He had a slight miss this morning, which made things interesting during the warm-up. No sign of it now. On to Seaside Way. Hard on the gas, very bumpy. Look for the washboard effect. See the striations of the rubber on the ground. Heading for Derek Daly in the hairpin.
Bob, it is fascinating the driver's style turning into this hairpin. There goes Jimmy. To give you an idea, the steering wheels, Cristiano D'Amato completely crosses his hands. Jimmy Vassar takes his left hand off the steering wheel, goes in and goes through the corner with his left hand on top of the wheel. Kenny Brack has the most unusual style I've ever seen at a hairpin. Kenny puts both of his hands on top of the wheel and yanks the wheel down to the right-hand side and holds it all the way through the hairpin here. I've never seen a style like that before.
I've seen it before. He must have been watching Mark Martin.
Absolutely. He runs, and when he heads into the corner, he puts both hands at the top of the steering wheel, pulls it left, then separates them again on the straightaways.
I asked Mark why he did that one time, and he says, well, that gives him the greatest amount of opposite lock without taking his hands off the wheel, come all the way back to the other side. It works for him, but I don't see how he does it.
Don't want to turn right on an oval track. The car sounded remarkably quiet down there in the hairpin at 34 inches of turbo boost. The turbocharger helps to keep down the sounds of these engines. That will all change next year. The Kart FedEx Championship Series moves to a 3.5-liter normally aspirated V8 formula. Just this weekend, it was announced that MG from Great Britain and John Judd, noted engine builder, will get together to build an engine for the new formula next year, joining Ford's Cosworth division. Now here's a look at the pit situation. Michael Andretti and Max Pappas did not stop. Last stopped on laps 18 and 17 respectively. So at 29, they must pit by laps 47 and 46. Now, Max Pappas has already made that pit stop. Calvin has more on that.
Routine stop, Bob. I mean, they put a half a turn of front wing in it. He's got a little bit of understeer, which has been a common complaint here all weekend long, but Max is pretty happy with the car. It was tires, pretty short load. As soon as the tires were on, he was out of here, so I'm not sure he'll get a full 29-lap stint. He's got to split the difference anyway.
What Max is doing there, actually, that's a really long pit lane, and Max was just taking advantage. He has to go 50 miles an hour. Figure he might as well get a little bit of work done. They got a little bit of heat in those front tires before they get to the point where they can let go of that speed limit button.
So I'm yanking the wheel back and forth. Get that friction, get some temperature into the tires.
Look at Michael just really attacking. His plan of building a cushion obviously is not working out. Now he's heading for the pit.
Andretti's in. Scott Pruitt awaits him.
They're going to do just a minor change. They're going to lower the tire pressure. Michael's complaining the car is loose. The car is inconsistent. No major changes, but it's very, very quick to do tire pressures in all four. Hits his marks. All four of the Bridgestones going on. They're still waiting on the fuel, waiting on the fuel. Having a little problem with the right rear there. 12.6, he's on his way.
Waiting on the fuel, that's the first time we've seen that. Most of the other guys have been waiting, and as soon as the tires are done, they give the signal to drop the jacks, and the fuel man pulls back out. So they either took on a lighter load once before and had to take the full load this time to make it the 29th lap. Another interesting comment. Go ahead, Bob.
I was just going to point out that's Bruno Junqueira making another pit stop from 15th position. Jimmy Vassar assumes the race lead. There is Vassar, followed by Kenny Brack, Christian Fittipaldi, Michel Jourdain. Cristiano D'Amato just passed his way up to 13th place, one spot outside the 12th and final championship points paying position. There's a look along Shoreline Drive as Jimmy Vassar comes up through the gearbox. We'll take a break and return for more live here on Fox. Second Toyota Spotlight, and with it, let's review the highlights of the race thus far. Now that we're just past the halfway point, it began on the warm-up laps for Patrick Carpentier, who said the engine just spiked when the traction control malfunctioned and tossed him into a spin. On the green flag lap, Cristiano D'Amato and a round pole sitter, Jimmy Vasser, to take the early lead. Tony Kanaan got off to a great start. Sadly, suffered a mechanical malfunction. His race was over. Patrick Carpentier managed to get his car refired, got into the race, but eventually the car simply would not work. He lost second and third gears and pulled off the racetrack. Scott Dixon brought out a yellow flag when his engine let go in a very comprehensive way. And perhaps the scariest moment thus far, when race leader Cristiano D'Amato was leaving his pit, Adrian Fernandez came across his bow with his right rear tire, planted D'Amato in the wall without damaging the car or, thankfully, any pit personnel. Michael Andretti inherited the lead when everyone pitted under a yellow flag. And when Michael and Max Pappas pitted, Jimmy Vasser assumed the lead that he now holds. Here's a look at our Bridgestone race summary. The leader, as I mentioned, Jimmy Vasser. We've had 4 leaders, 4 lead changes, a total of 7 caution laps, and 3 cars out of the race at this point. Behind Jimmy Vasser, the running order is Kenny Brack, Christian Fittipaldi up into 3rd spot, having a quiet but effective race. Michel Jourdain Jr., another good run for him. He is currently at 4th. Paul Tracy is 5th. Adrian Fernandez is 6th. Now, Fernandez, his crew spoke to the officials. They considered bringing Fernandez in for some sort of penalty. Let's get more on that from the pit lane.
Well, there was a lot of discussion, Bob, about if Adrian had actually committed any infraction during that bump with Cristiano in pit lane. Tom Anderson and Don Halliday really worked hard on the guys, and in the end they came to an agreement that there was no harm, no foul. But we believe Junqueira may have a problem on track, guys.
He's got a big one. He has gone straight onto the tire wall at turn 1. Judging from the skid marks, he locked him up before he got there. Junqueira remains in the car. Here's a look at it.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. We just saw kind of the tail end of it.
That brings out a full course yellow, and the pits are open. 3rd full course caution of the day. Vasser comes up to pass the lapped car of Shinji Nakano. Nakano has a problem here, going very slowly. See if anyone comes in. I wouldn't expect anybody.
Got nothing gained at this point from coming in. They need to make it to lap 61. They can't pit before 61. They can't pit after 61 if they want to do it on one more stop.
Give everybody in the pit lane something to think about. There's Junqueira out. Once again, the Hans device, which is mandatory in kart competition. That revolutionary device, invented and developed by racer Jim Downing and his brother-in-law, Dr. Bob Hubbard from Michigan State University. Nakano has now pitted. He is back on track with a full load of fuel and a set of Bridgestones. We'll take a break and return with more. You're watching Kart here on Fox. Welcome back to the streets of Long Beach, California, at round 2 of the Kart FedEx Championship Series for 2002, the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Thanks for looking in here on Fox. I'm Bob Varsha with Tommy Kendall, Derek Daly, Scott Pruitt, and Calvin Fish. There's Bruno Junqueira's car being hauled out of the tire wall down in turn 1. Here's a look at our top 10 with 54 of 90 laps complete. Jimmy Vasser leading. He last led here on the streets of Long Beach in 1997. Of course, won the race in 96 en route to the Kart Championship. Let's get down to Scott Pruitt in pit lane.
Chip, any idea what happened down there?
Well, Scott, it looks like he just went down to turn 1, got a little deep, got over in the marbles there, and slid up into the tires. Obviously, he was going very fast. The lap before that, he put the fastest lap of the race together.
It's a tough day for you guys.
It's a tough day, but we got Kenny up at the front there. We're going to see if we can get him around Vasser, my man Vasser there, my ex-man. We're going to see if we can get Brack around him here. Maybe we shouldn't have given up on that
guy. Good luck. Calvin?
Well, we're here with Bobby Rahal. You hadn't hit the window there that you could bring Jimmy in and take advantage of the caution, Bobby.
No, and nobody else is either, really. Everybody'd have to make another stop anyway. So, no, we're fine. Car's good. We got some free track ahead of us now, so we'll have to open up on Kenny.
It'd be nice to win this one. You were here for a long time. You never made it to victory lane. Would be a first for Team Rahal as well.
Well, there's a long way to go yet, but it would be nice.
All right, Bobby, best of luck. Let's get down to Derek.
I am in the middle of the finest safety team in all of motor racing, the Simple Green safety team. This is station 2. They stay ready to go into action at any time. On the way over here is the leader of this team, famed orthopedic surgeon Terry Trammell. Terry, who put me back together back in 1984, well, part of the team that put me back together, took a lot of people. In fact, got a box of tools out 4 months ago and fused my left ankle. But just 2 weeks ago, Terry Trammell was invited to the Brazilian Grand Prix to talk to the Formula One drivers about the necessity he believes for them to all wear the HANS device. He said they didn't all take to it, particularly Michael Schumacher, because he said he likes to lean his head one way or the other depending on the corner, and he said that was a style he got from go-kart racing. But Trammell is still working on Schumacher.
All right, thanks very much. Also on safety 2, Dave Hollander there, along with Lloyd Moakler, Tag Schneider, one of 4 safety trucks out on course. There's also a response team in the pit lane and a group manning the most complete mobile medical center in any form of motorsport. It is an absolutely confidence-building measure on behalf of CART to have that safety team out there for these drivers. Taking a look at the pit situation, Jimmy Vasser, Kenny Brack, all of the top 5 cars stopped on lap 32 at 29. They must pit by lap 61.
Lap 61. Everybody but Michael Andretti and Max Pappas will be in on lap 61. So we have the similar situation we had with everybody coming in under that yellow. This will happen green or yellow. Everybody will be in on lap 61. The only difference, we don't know how much fuel the various cars have on board. Some of them might have short-filled it according to the tires. Others might have taken a full load in hopes of having a shorter stop this time on 61.
As you mentioned, you got to hit it at 61 too, because it's 29 laps from there to the end. And Kenny Brack is having a little trouble getting around Alex Tagliani there on the restart, and as he does, Jimmy Vasser rockets off into a big lead. We are green again on the streets of Long Beach. There's Vasser. Tagliani trying to get out of the way. Fittipaldi, Jourdain, Tracy, Fernandez, Takagi. Ooh, it's going to get tight in here to get a slower car through there. Townsend Bell tangles with Tagliani.
Just narrow it, necks down, and the line in there, there's really only room for one car, as you saw that.
Now, that's the second time those two have had contact. You can see the marks on the right front Bridgestone. Take a look here. You can almost tell this was coming.
Yeah, Alex was trying to get out of the way, and there's just so many cars coming so quickly. He had some sort of a problem, and short of stopping over on the left side, that was bound to happen.
And that will bring out yet another full course caution, our 4th of the day. Like most racing drivers, Alex Tagliani speaks with his hands, and he was speaking energetically. Vasser will bring the field around through the hairpin to see the waving yellows. There's Townsend Bell, right here in Southern California, driving for Pat Patrick, one of the founding fathers of championship auto racing teams. The crew is bringing out the jacks before they tow Tagliani's car away. So we'll take another break. There's Townsend Bell in the pits. If there's any damage to the car, the crew working feverishly to get him back out, so the car must be healthy.
I know you guys are not here to see me, so here's the Goo Goo Dolls for you, okay? Have fun.
Saturday night here in Long Beach as the Goo Goo Dolls played in concert at the exhibition center that is the heartbeat of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. Center full of paddocked race cars, custom cars, and other automotive delights. Fox tonight, South Fish with Townsend Bell.
Well, Townsend, you're having a great run there. Qualified 5th, great day yesterday, and you said you're going to be aggressive. What happened there with Tag going through the fountain turn?
I mean, we were just trying to get through this race, get some points, and learn. And I don't know if he had a problem or what, but we were all going by there on the restart and going into the fountain. I was just in a train of cars passing him, and it looked like he started to turn in. I tried to get up on the curb to get out of his way. But
My left front climbed his right front, and left rear climbed his right front. We lost, looks like fluid out of the right-hand side. Something got punctured or a line or something went, so we lost it.
Tough day for Townsend down here. Let's get back to the track. Green flag underway.
That's right, Calvin. I guess I put the kiss of death on Townsend when I said the car looked healthy. Turns out it was not, but he did get a big hand from this California crowd when he climbed out. I'm sure it's cold comfort at this point. Jimmy Vasser leads Kenny Brack, Christian Fittipaldi, Michel Jourdain, Paul Tracy, Adrian Fernandez, Tora Takagi, Oriol Servia, Dario Franchitti now in the top 10, and Mario Dominguez, the sole remaining rookie in the race, in 10th spot. FedEx running order across the top of your screen. 30 laps to go. Paul Tracy has been moving forward steadily, now in 5th spot. Said he could win this race from his 8th starting spot. Let's get more on his situation from the pits.
I just got done talking to Barry Green. He does have a very good car. He's very pleased with the setup. Unfortunately, they're fighting a clutch problem. What they've told him, when you make your next pit stop, come in out of gear, don't rev it. We're going to get 3 guys behind you and actually push you out. When we get you pushing, get you rolling, then slap it in gear. Guys?
That sounds like a neat trick. Thank you, Scott. Down into turn 1. There is Paul Tracy.
With everybody pitting on that lap, that is going to be a tough feat to pull off. I'm not sure it'll work even if all by themselves, but trying to get out of the pits, they have to do something. There's the only other excuse is to shut the thing off, get it in gear, and drop it off the jacks. But that's probably, I mean, not shut it off, but do it up on the jacks. But they're going to try to do it this way and hope he gets away clean.
That doesn't sound like a high percentage move in what is bound to be a very, very chaotic pit lane with everybody coming in on 61.
We saw what happened last time with everybody in the pit lane. I wouldn't want to be any of those guys pushing on the rear wing, to be honest with you.
Down Seaside Way, headed for turn number 9. Jimmy Vasser already through it. Let's see if the leader dives for the pit lane. Yep, here they come. All of the top cars. Calvin Fish awaits Jimmy Vasser.
Leader JV brings it in, hits the marks perfectly. Bobby Rahal said there will be no change whatsoever to the car. There's fresh tires. We'll wait and see how long they keep that fuel hose in. Notice the new front wing on the Lola, a lot more downforce here. They put it on Friday night. All of the guys loved it. Jimmy Vasser underway, a clean start. Let's go down to Scott.
Same thing going on down here. As you can see, there they go. The guys are having a problem getting it going, stalled it. Pushing, trying to get here. And he's off. Well, very close with Adrian. Whoa!
Made a liar out of me. Beautiful work.
That was well done. All credit to them. I saw Adrian Fernandez go by and thought, oh my goodness, let's not have another one of those. So Jimmy Vasser comes back out in good shape. Kenny Breck. Christian Fittipaldi. Looks like Michel Jourdain might have picked up some spots. He was running 4th. No, he was 4th when they came in, so he remains 4th. Field sort itself out. So the front running cars should be green to the finish from here. Now there's Fernandez, perhaps correcting the problem. There's D'Amata just behind the Mexican driver. Word from the corner workers is that Adrian Fernandez did spin but is back underway, obviously. From the Department of Redundancy Department. These are 2 examples of the Lola chassis with that distinctive front wing that Calvin mentioned. He had a quick look at Paul Tracy's Reynard chassis. Here is Fernandez going around full 180 degrees. Watch him drop the clutch and perform those wheel spinning 180-degree maneuvers to get back in the right direction. Bad news for the Newman Haas pits. It appears that Christian Fittipaldi may have had some kind of pit safety violation. Oops. Let's see who that is. Is that
Mario Dominguez?
Oh, it's Mario Dominguez in the Erdez car. Looks like he has pranged the right front corner. comprehensively. Let's have another look.
This is in turn one, similar to the incident earlier, and he just catches his right front on those tires. It sucks the car in, peels the right front back. He's done. We're going to get another full course caution.
That's what happened to Bruno Junqueira earlier. 5th full course caution of the day here in Long Beach. See what happens when the pits open. As Michael Andretti, currently shown as the race leader, after all of the front-running cars stopped, once again in second place is Max Pappas.
Now Michael is on a demon lap. He's going to try to duck in and get back out. This is going to hopefully leapfrog him by a number of guys, because he's been running on warm tires where everybody else was struggling to get theirs back up. So he'll duck in, complete his final stop, and see when he gets out how far up the order he's been shuffled.
50-mile-an-hour pit lane speed limit begins just as they enter the pits. There's Max Pappas behind him, also pitting. Calvin Fish.
Pappas is in. It should be routine. We're looking at new tires, of course. This is mandatory on the stops here. 4 fresh tires. Fuel is out. They're underway. Perfect stop. Let's get down to Scott Pruitt.
I'm right here with Michael. Same thing. 4 tires, no changes. Waiting for fuel. Waiting for fuel. He's on his way. Good stop. Out in front of Max.
Two drivers head down. Once again, Max Pappas weaving back and forth to get heat in the tires. There are the new race leaders just coming through turn 9. So Andretti and Pappas will rejoin at the tail end of the pack. Now, getting back to Christian Fittipaldi, apparently there was a safety violation during his earlier pit stop. They're going to call him in for a penalty. Christian is arguing vehemently on the radio. It appears that one will stick. Another air gun violation. That's a no-no. Can't run over the air hose. We'll take a break and return live to Long Beach on Fox. Welcome back live to Long Beach. You at home may have figured this out before we did, but Jimmy Vasser, who was to assume the lead when Michael Andretti and Max Pappas pitted, or so we thought, did not get around soon enough to prevent Andretti and Pappas from exiting the pits and resuming P1 and P2 on the leaderboard. So there you see Michael Andretti remains the leader. I'm wondering if that was just a brilliant pit move by Andretti's team or a blunder by Jimmy Vasser's. Let's find out more, beginning with Scott Pruitt.
I'm down here with Kim Green. Kim, tell me what's going on right now.
Yeah, we want to start on 7. We can run to the end okay. Obviously, we're in the window. I think the car's getting better as the track gets more grip. So we'll be trying real hard.
Looks like your strategy's really been paying off so far today.
No, strategy worked very, very well. The fuel guys have been working hard on that, and everybody had their heads together, and a yellow helped us a little bit. So no, we're in a good position.
Best of luck. Calvin?
Quick chat with Bobby here. Did Jimmy make a little mistake on not getting on the gas there and letting the guys back in front, Bobby?
They said that when the double yellow comes out, you got to slow it up. You know, guess we shouldn't have followed directions.
New regulations now, but we're going back to green. Jimmy was just slowing down through the yellow flag period. Cost him a little bit, guys.
It cost him a lot. It is now Andretti, Pappas, Vasser, Brack, Fittipaldi, Jourdain, Takagi, Serbia, Paul Tracy back in 9th spot. Dario Franchitti, his Team Cool Green teammate, in 10th.
Tim Green, the master of understatement. That yellow helped him a little bit. I mean, it put him from 12th to 1st.
That was well done.
What happened, to explain that a little further, Jimmy slowed down expecting the pace car to come out. Meanwhile, Michael and Max were beating it down the pit lane, came out in front of them.
23 laps to go next time by. Everybody clean and green from here. Run for Pappas from 18th to 2nd. Michael Andretti with that streak of 14 seasons with at least 1 victory. At this point, at least, looks like he will add his 15th in his 19th year in Champ Cars. Pretty much the senior statesman among the drivers right now. Now someone backdooring the pits here. That's Christian Fittipaldi. Now this is only allowed if you are out of fuel or have a mechanical problem, which it appears Christian does. Hands crossed atop the steering wheel. The Brazilian's race may be over. There's Kenny Brack. There was some talk earlier this year of Breck possibly taking a test drive in one of Chip Ganassi's NASCAR Winston Cup stock cars. Never materialized. In fact, they were thinking of entering him in the Daytona 500, if I'm not mistaken, but they couldn't get the sponsorship package together. Chip's driver Sterling Marlin finished 12th in today's Martinsville Winston Cup race and retains the point lead, but by just 27 points over the charging Matt Kenseth, who finished in second place.
Very, very close. Dario Franchitti almost ran to the back of Paul Tracy. Didn't hit the tires, ran wide, and D'Amata gets around him.
To finish my thought, Bobby Labonte won the Cup race at Martinsville. You can feel a concussion across the grandstand and the windows of our announce booth as these guys come up to speed down the front straightaway. That won't get it done, Paul. Cars lapping in the 111 zone. Actually, the fastest car on the track that lap was Michel Jourdain Jr. in fourth. The lap at 70.785 seconds. Christian Fittipaldi is out of the race car. Calvin is with him.
Christian, a tough day. You had a great run going there, quietly sneaking up on it. You held third position down. What ultimately put you out, mate? How was the car? I mean, it looked like you said this morning after the warm-up there's a long way to go. You could still win it, even though you had a poor qualifying run yesterday.
Well, I think it was pretty obvious what happened in qualifying yesterday. I spun. It was my mistake. The car was great the whole weekend. We ran only full tanks this morning. I felt very good. And that's why I told you that we had a good car for the race. And it would have been definitely a top 3 finish. Shame, most important of all, would have been the points in the championship.
Tough day for Christian and Newman Haas. Cristiano D'Amato keep plugs away, but he's not going to be scoring a victory here this afternoon.
Nope, D'Amato currently in 10th spot. We now have but 21 laps remaining in the race, and Michael Andretti is out front with the help of a brilliant pit move by his team. Now it's up to him. We'll be back. Back on a cloudy, overcast day. Derek, what are you doing sitting down?
Bob, I'm part of about 100,000 people here today. And you know what? A lot of people say it's difficult to pass on a street circuit, but one of the real beauties, have a look here. From any seat in the grandstand, you're only a hop, skip, and a jump away from the track. And the concussion you mentioned earlier on, you can feel it here every time the cars go by. And as soon as they pass by and you see them live, all you got to do is look up and see the many of the big screen TVs. Interestingly enough, the biggest support here has been for Michael Andretti, our current leader.
There's no question Michael is a big favorite everywhere the Kart FedEx Championship Series goes. Not only for his achievements, but for those of his family. Michael is currently number 3 on the all-time list in Champ Car victories, behind A.J. Foyt and Father Mario. Another victory here in Long Beach would be a big, big boost.
The fans aren't the only ones who watch those Diamond Vision screens. As those have started popping up around street courses, when you drive, I can remember in the Trans Am days, you'd sneak a peek up there at different parts of the track. You're getting gaps from your team, but it gives you an idea. You can look up there and check out the gap at different parts of the racetrack.
Like his teammates on the Team Cool Green squad, Michael will be preparing to return to the Indianapolis 500 this year. Jimmy Vasser has gotten around Max Pappas, so Vasser is coming. This victory is anything but assured for Michael. 17 laps to go next time by. Here's a look at Michael's milestones. Laps led, far and away the all-time laps leader. Almost 3 times as many as the next man on the list, who is Rick Mears, the career starts leader at 292. Adding one every time he gets into the uniform to start a race. His car number matches his age, 39. In fact, before the season, Michael was asked what he looked ahead to. He said, I'm going to miss Roberto Moreno. He's older than I am. Now I'm the old guy.
And Kim Green was right. The car appears to be getting better as the grip level comes up. Michael has been really pretty off the pace all weekend long. but he's definitely peaking at the right time. Last time around, quickest lap, 70.12, quickest car in the field.
Right now, Max Pappas is third. He's under attack from Kenny Brack. What's going on with Max, Calvin?
Well, he says the balance of the car is pretty good. He's been struggling getting the brake bias right. It's very bumpy around here, so the wheel's in the air a lot as you enter the braking zones, but he just clipped the wall. Very slight price exiting 11. I think that's how Jimmy got by him. But a lot of the guys have trimmed the cars out here, even though it's a street course and you look for downforce. Some of the teams have trimmed the cars out with the long straightaways, and it looks like Max still has pretty good straightaway speed in keeping Jimmy behind him.
Max has... Now we finally were able to get our helicopter up. The cloud deck is high enough that we can get the chopper up there. You were on board with Kenny Brack. Apologize for not being able to bring this to you earlier in the broadcast. See how many of our onboard cameras we can get to. On board with Paul Tracy. In fact, you are inside Paul Tracy's helmet with our driver view cam. It's Adrian Fernandez, who's had an interesting day here on the streets of Long Beach. Big bump right here, turn 5. Laps to go. Next time under the flag stand. Down Seaside Way, headed for turn 9. Cristiano D'Amata behind Paul Tracy. D'Amata in 10th. Remember, he came in on a 3-race winning streak. If he could win the 4th, he would tie the series record set by Al Unser Jr. back in 1990 when he won 4 races in a row. Alex Zanardi matched that number in 1998. D'Amata going for his 4th in a row over 2 seasons today here in Long Beach.
Coming through the hairpin, you saw him with his hands crossed, and the front wheel was skidding past the second apex there. So the front tires are sliding quite a bit of understeer. It's really hurting him, not allowing him to get close enough to Paul Tracy, entering the brake zone for turn 1 to attempt to pass. And Vassar coming in on Michael Andretti. Got clear, finally has a clear track and took in about 9/10 of a second that lap.
Could see a battle of former series champions in just a moment. Don't go away. Our third and final Toyota Spotlight here at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach focuses on the race itself. It was in September of 1975 that the first Grand Prix of Long Beach took place. A year later, it was a Formula One race. When Mario Andretti won in 1977, he saved the race from bankruptcy. And then in 1984, he justified Chris Pook's move, bringing in the kart series. Over the years, all the great stars of Formula One raced here. Never a repeat winner. Colin Chapman flinging his cap in the air, his trademark signal of victory when Andretti took the checkered flag. The inaugural race won by Brian Redman, who clinched the Formula 5000 championship that year, driving for Jim Hall. He beat Vern Schuppan, who was the first man on track, driving Dan Gurney's Jorgensen Eagle. Redman driving a Lola T332. Jimmy Vassar inexorably closing in on race leader Michael Andretti. To Derek Daly.
To what I would call the Team Green Challenge. Because if Michael Andretti can manage to pull things off here, it will be a huge boost for this team. He's in a Reynard. Reynard are bankrupt. Not only do they run 3 cars, that's a mountain to climb, they then are about to change to Lolas. That's a huge mountain to climb to try and learn all about those cars and run at the front. On top of that, they're going to run at the Indy 500. They have more than, or almost 24 cars in their race shop. So there is about 3 mountains to climb here. This will be an enormous boost for this team if Michael can just hang on here.
Jimmy is coming big time, consistently like between 4 and 8/10 of a second quicker per lap. Michael's responded a little bit with his fastest lap of the race, but Jimmy a good 2, 3, 4/10 quicker every lap.
I was listening to Michael's car going by. I'm not sure that car sounds quite healthy. Oriol Servia pitting. Jimmy Vassar continues to close in.
you have more for us on that?
Kim Green just said Michael is driving his heart out, as we can all see. He's happy with the car. The car has come back to him. But as you can see, Jimmy's running a very hard pace. He's doing everything he can to keep Jimmy behind him. Regardless, it's a heck of a fight here to the checkered.
If you're just joining us, Michael Andretti is leading the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. There's Jimmy Vasser, the second place car, though, just behind. Coming around with 10 laps to go. It'll be 9 laps to go this time under the flag stand. Andretti desperately trying to hold on.
I think the rough misfire of the spark coming out of the exhaust was probably the traction control on that slick part of the track coming out of turn 5. The key here, again, will be the hairpin. The only real place to pass without a guy making a horrible mistake in front of you is into turn 1. So Jimmy has got to be close, got to get the power down smoothly, coming off the hairpin, and be close going into turn 1.
Oh, Oriol Servia, who just pitted a moment ago, has pulled to the side. Is that on the run out to turn 1? Is he out of the pit exit yet? I don't think so. So both of the PWR Championship racing cars. Now that's down there between, yeah. That's on Pine Avenue. The only real bit of elevation change here. And that will bring out our 6th full course yellow of the day. And momentarily freeze this battle between former champions Michael Andretti and Jimmy Vasser.
I'm a little surprised they're putting out a yellow for that, because the wall steps out there, and that car, I think, is pretty much out of harm's way. But now the gap is 0, so the tires are going to cool off. The guys have enough fuel. In years past, they had to worry about burning fuel to keep the tires warm. They don't have to do that anymore. It's going to be a shootout between Vasser and Michael when we go green.
Eckhart made a statement earlier this year. They would do everything possible to minimize yellow flags on course, get us a green flag finish. We're about to test that resolve. Welcome back to Southern California. We have less than 10 laps remaining in round 2 of the FedEx Championship Series Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. I'm Bob Barsha with Tommy Kendall. Scott Pruitt, Calvin Fish, and Derek Daly are in the pits, and I wouldn't go up there for any amount of money. I don't care how good the view is.
No higher than Prix. I was in Cleveland, I think, one year. So
I wouldn't have gone there either. We'll go to the pits in just a second, but we would just heard this report that Max Pappas, currently shown in 3rd place, has told his team, quote, "I'm going to win. Give me some enthusiasm." All he has out in front of him are 2 former Kart FedEx Championship Series title holders, Jimmy Vasser in 2nd, who started from pole in this race, and Michael Andretti, who used brilliant pit strategy and some very hard driving to assume the race lead. There is Pappas, who says he has something for him. Scott Pruitt.
Kim, what's Michael saying out there? Things have really played into your hands so far. What is your prospects for the end? Can he hold them off?
Well, he's doing a hell of a job, and obviously Jimmy's got a strong car, so I think we're going to see Michael use all of his experience over the years, and he's a great front runner, so we're hopeful that we can hold Jimmy off, and we'll be trying hard.
Best of luck. Now, the other thing to remember, guys, is without this fuel restriction, these guys are really going to be aggressive getting their tires up the tent and cleaned off.
Exactly. We're seeing that on the picture right now, Scott. And Michael was gassing it, stopping it, gassing it, stopping it, trying to get tire temp. And then on the last one, he just went. And that's the hard thing for Jimmy. He's trying to decide he doesn't want to run into the back of him, but he's doing that accordion effect. And Michael's carved out about a 2 or 3 car length gap by doing so.
Michael's board says 7 laps to go, and the guy behind you is Vasser.
Make that 10 car lengths.
We are back under green. Michael using the Honda Reynard combination. Derek Daly told you about problems for the Reynard chassis company earlier on. Honda says they will leave Kart FedEx Championship Series competition at the end of this year when the turbocharged formula goes away. Last time that combination won was on the streets of Houston, Texas last October in the hands of Gilles de Ferran, who went on to win the championship before his Marlboro Team Penske operation switched over to the Indian Racing League. But right now, Michael Andretti is trying to put Honda atop the podium again. Calvin Fish has more on Jimmy Vasser's situation.
Well, one thing that happens, Bob, is the fuel load goes away. It changes the balance of the race car. It lifts the rear end of the car up and essentially creates more front downforce and less in the rear. So you're going to get a little bit loose, and the tires are at the end of their stint. So typically that's a big problem. But with the traction control, that's helping that situation. But Jimmy Vasser prefers a pushing car, an understeering car. So we'll have to see how he deals with that situation as we get down to the last 6 or 7 laps here. See if he can put some pressure on Michael.
It all depends on what the balance was before that shift. If you had too much understeer, it might shift you into a perfect car. If you're neutral, it would go the other way. The way Jimmy's coming on Michael now, it looks like he's pretty happy with that car.
Keep in mind, these guys have been in the cars working hard for almost 2 hours. Behind Michael, the order is Vasser, Pappas, Brack, Jourdain, Takagi, Fernandez, Tracy, D'Amata, and Franchitti. But right now, the battle is all about these 2 men, Michael Andretti and Jimmy Vasser.
Something I'm wondering about, the TKBS meter went off a little bit when Bobby Rahal said that they told him to slow down on the double yellows. I'm not sure. Either way, he has a shot at redemption. Jimmy's coming back at him, so they might have said slow down, but in years past, drivers tend to do whatever they want until they see that pace car. So it'd be interesting to check in to ask if they were instructed that. It sounds like it could have been a face-saving gesture, but Jimmy has given it everything he has. Obviously, he has the car for it. Whether he can get around Michael will depend on how he can get off this hairpin.
1991 Kart FedEx Series champion Michael Andretti against the 96 titleist Jimmy Vasser. Once 2 of the rising young stars of American open wheel racing. Right now, both not necessarily in the twilight years of their careers, but 2 vastly experienced racers. Just the kind of guys you want in these incredibly powerful cars at this stage of a tight race.
Mexico is a Brazilian parade. Here we have the 2 of the 3 Americans running 1-2 at the biggest race. Got to make a lot of the hometown boys pretty happy.
The crowd is beginning to get charged up every time they go by. I wonder who they would favor if they were asked.
I think they just want to see a good race. If it was Michael behind, they'd want him to pass. If it's Jimmy behind, I think they want him to pass. Alex Zanardi said an interesting thing. When he was on that charge from way back and he caught Brian Hurd at the very end, when the engine got quiet in the hairpin, he heard the crowd roar and he couldn't believe it. The next lap around, it was even louder. He said it's the only time ever in a race car he's heard that.
Jimmy closing up in the hairpin. Michael getting good drive off the corner. Coming around to complete lap 86 of 90. 4 to go.
From a lap time perspective, what Jimmy's doing might be a little bit quicker, but Michael knows the only spot he's weak, or anyone's weak, is if they don't get off the hairpin. So he's given up a little bit on entry, turning a little bit sharper for a little bit straighter exit. Jimmy closes up right in the middle, but then the accordion's back the other way, and Michael's showing all that experience. Very, very cagey veteran.
Both men looking for their second win on the streets of Long Beach. On to Seaside Way. In a race of their own now. No sign of Max Pappas in 3rd. Crowd of more than 90,000 people brings the total 3-day weekend attendance to some 220,000. And right now, all eyes in these packed grandstands are on these 2 men. 3 to go. Vasser closing up now. Reynard against Lola. Honda against Ford. Off of turn 5 on Shoreline Drive in the opposite direction. Turning in. Calvin Fish is in the Rahal pits.
Well, Bobby's watching the monitor. Bobby, you've raced against Michael a number of times in your career. He's a tough man to pass if Jimmy can get close enough. What's going to happen here in a couple of laps?
Well, I don't know if it's looking too good. You know, the only thing we can do is really pressure him. Michael doesn't make many mistakes, but I'm afraid we let him down today. We made a mistake on that yellow, I think, as a team, and we're paying for it, but Jimmy's doing a great job.
You mentioned earlier that cars told you to slow down under yellow. Is that from the drivers' meeting you're talking about, Bobby?
Yeah, definitely, but we should have just gone like hell and, you know, seen what happened.
All right, mate, thanks. Good luck.
Interesting to hear Bobby admit that they made a mistake under that yellow flag by not cautioning Jimmy to keep up the pace, catch up to the safety cars. Michael Andretti dove into the pits, got his third and final stop in, managed to get back on track ahead of Vassar. The key moment in the race. Right now, it may make Michael Andretti a winner for the 42nd time in his glittering career in the Champ Cars.
Now in that corner there, it looked like Jimmy was fighting an understeer problem. Coming out to the wall, Michael was tracking out a little bit straighter. Jimmy had quite a bit more steering in right up to the wall. As the tires came up, Jimmy was coming on him pretty hard before the tires were up to temp. Now it seemed to have stabilized.
It'll be white flag this time by as the pair come rushing down Seaside Way into turn 9. To Shoreline Drive. White flag for Michael Andretti and Jimmy Vassar. And you can hear the cheer from the crowd.
Look how close Vassar is.
He's running out of opportunities. Look down the inside. Michael held him off. Fight.
Barring a problem on Michael's part, there's going to be no more opportunity to get by.
Look at the distance they've laid on the rest of the field. Think about this. It has been 16 years since Michael Andretti scored his first win at Long Beach, his only other victory. That is the longest span between wins, should Michael get this one, in Kart FedEx Championship Series history. Final moment for Jimmy Vassar, but he will not be able to get it done. Checkers for Michael Andretti. Jimmy Vassar second, unofficially Max Pappas in third, and the crowd is going crazy. Get down to Michael Andretti's pits and Scott Pruitt.
I'm here with an excited team. A great job. The Motorola team ran great all day long. Things really fell in your favor. Awesome job. Tell us about it.
Well, I mean, we had a pretty tough weekend. We lost our primary car yesterday in qualifying. So I had to start the backup car, which wasn't quite the same spec, but the guys did a great job putting it together. The car got better and better in the warm-up, and you know, as the race went on, the track grip got better. Michael's car came to him. Our strategy worked real well. We love these new rules for racing. Fantastic job by Team Motorola, and Michael, I can't say enough about what a fantastic drive. He is just so experienced and handles those pressure situations so well.
That's awesome job. Congratulations. Enjoy it. I don't know about you, but my heart's just pounding right now. Back to you.
Absolutely. What a great team victory. And we should note that Michael's team has been in chaos all weekend. He was never able to break into the top 10 in practice or qualifying. At one point, we wanted to send Scott Pruitt down to Michael's pit during qualifying. He said, well, things are pretty tense there right now. And here he comes through to win. Now the margin, unofficially the margin of victory for Michael over Jimmy, 0.466 seconds. That's the second closest finish in Long Beach history. The first, 0.380 seconds. Michael Andretti beating Al Unser Jr. in 1986.
That was Michael's very first career victory.
And those 16 years since are the longest drought between victories at a single venue in Kart FedEx Championship Series history.
I don't think I've seen Michael savor a victory lap like that ever.
Well, this has got to rank among his all-time best, I have to believe.
Later in your career, you never know when it's going to be the last one. So I think at this point, Michael has enough perspective to realize to really take it all in.
The worst starting position a Long Beach winner has ever come from was 17th. Paul Tracy 2 years ago. Michael started 15th today. Here he is in victory lane. Derek Daly is down there to greet his old friend and rival.
Oh, they're trying to pull Michael out here. I'm not sure whether I've seen him as emotional after a victory. Come on, Michael, get out. Let's celebrate. Get that helmet off. Ah. The crew is on the way up here. Michael, that has to rank as one of your finest and most satisfying wins.
It was big. It was big. You know, this place is so special, and this is my first race, and it just felt so good doing it for Team Motorola. Motorola guys did a great job. Honda keeps the record going here in Long Beach. Perfect engine, perfect tires with the Bridgestones. It was just a great day.
Michael, what a gamble to take in the middle of the race and how it all played out for you.
Well, you know, when you're in the back, you have nothing to lose, and you know, that was a strategy, and thank the Lord it all worked out. You know, Team Motorola guys did a great job with the strategy. You know, it's all a gamble, but yet in the end, we had the race car to do it. We were running just as quick as Vassar, who was one of the quicker guys in the race, so I was real happy with the car. Eddie Jones did a great job.
Michael, yesterday you crashed. I spoke to you Friday. You were almost depressed. And then to see how this whole thing turns out.
It was just great. Yeah, I mean, it was a tough day yesterday because we knew we had a car capable of the top 6, I think, and then I made a mistake and crashed, so I was definitely down, but you know, I knew the Motorola guys would give me a good car, you know, today, and we just needed a little luck, and we finally got some.
What a great day for the legacy of the Andretti family to continue here at Long Beach. A mighty victory. Calvin, then to you.
Jimmy V started from the pole, a great run. Tell us about the yellow situation. We expected when Max and Michael came in the pits that you would assume the lead, but it seemed talking to the team that maybe you slowed down a little too much and allowed them to stay out in front.
Well, the team told me to save fuel. I could use more at the end. I wasn't really sure. I suppose I should always, you know, I know better than that. I should always hustle around the pace car, but you know, we didn't have super clear radio either. I don't know what they were trying to tell me, but certainly if I was abreast of the situation, I would have hustled around. But the thing I heard was, you know, hold up, save a little fuel, you know. And I was out in front of. For some reason, Michael and Max really weren't a factor in my mind, and I had Kenny and the other guys. We just came out of the pits on new tires. Those are the ones that I was concerned about. And I guess you shouldn't do it. We assumed that we were going to pick up the pace car, and you know, they ran a good race. Funky strategy. It just goes to show you fastest cars don't always win.
Well, he came up a little short, but good points on the board. Let's get down to Scott with Max Pappas. A great run.
I'm here with Maxie. Awesome job, dude.
Hey, it's like a win for us. You know, first podium for Sigma. I'm so happy. You know, this is the proof that with a goodwill and we believe in yourself, you know, you can go very forward.
Well, we talked about it last night. You put a lot of heart and soul into that drive today.
I tell you, I tried to challenge Michael. You know, I didn't have it for him. You know, I just slightly touched the wall when Jimmy went by me, and I was really, you know, driving 110%. But this is the first podium for Sigma, first target, and Mad Max is here. Don't worry, guys.
Congratulations. Back to you guys.
Max Pappas driving for the modestly budgeted brand new Sigma Autosports team. That's why they call him Mad Max. First podium for Sigma, and well earned. And for Michael Andretti, his streak of seasons consecutively with a victory is now 15 and counting. We'll be back for more in a moment. Today's live coverage of the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach is brought to you by FedEx, proud sponsor of the Kart FedEx Championship Series. And by Toyota, get the feeling. Here in Long Beach, our top 3 drivers, Michael Andretti, Jimmy Vassar, and Mad Max Pappas, are saluting the crowd as they make their way around and back to victory lane. While we have the opportunity, let's get final thoughts on today's Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach from our pit reporters. Gentlemen?
I mentioned emotional support at the top of the show for Jimmy Vassar. When I spent that time up on the grandstand, believe it or not, there was more support for Michael Andretti. And as the laps wound down, more and more people went into Michael's camp. I felt the shiver of emotion as Michael drove in here. And I don't ever remember seeing Michael crying at a victory. That's how emotional it was for him here.
Well, that was a great day. And talk about emotion. Think about Cristiano D'Amata. He had a great car here today. He had the problem on pit road. He was really looking dominant for this season. Someone had to knock him off, and that happened here today. Let's get it to Scott.
I haven't seen a race this good in a long time. Long Beach fans had to be just over the wall, over the top. So excited with this show. I was. Everybody was just going crazy at the end of the race. This is the essence of kart racing.
All right, thanks very much, gentlemen. We'll give you a look at our final rundown, beginning with Michael Andretti, 42nd career win in his 292nd start. Your final thoughts, Tommy Kendall?
Well, for the 7th year in a row, Toyota had a heck of a party here in Long Beach, and Honda crashed it. So they'll have a chance to answer back in Honda's backyard at the next race in Japan. But for right now, you got to give some love for Toyota for creating this great event. But Honda's kind of had their way with it for the last 7 years.
Cristiano D'Amata does not win his 4th in a row. Here's a look at our next event, the first oval of the year at Twin Ring Motegi in Japan. Practice coverage Thursday, the April 25th, 11 a.m. Eastern time on Speed. Qualifying coverage Friday, the 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern. Kart Friday night at 10:30 Eastern time. And of course, race coverage Saturday, April 28th at 12 p.m. on Speed. Now we're going to be clicking over for more Kart Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach post-race coverage on Speed Channel, so join us there in about 2 minutes. If you choose to stay with your Fox affiliate, thanks very much for joining us for the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach. If you don't have Speed Channel, you're missing out. Dial 1-888-22-SPEED to let your local cable operator know you want to fill your need for speed. I'm Bob Varsha for Tommy Kendall, Calvin Fish, Derek Daly, and Scott Pruitt. Thanks for joining us on the streets of Long Beach. The 28th Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach is in the books. We'll see you in a couple of weeks from Motegi, Japan. Until then, so long from sunny Southern California.